Right, Brody, why are we here?
For the love of cricket.
Been practicing that, haven't you?
Of course. I'm Stuart Broad, he's Jos Buttler.
He's turned up with his own dog stick. He had those like yellow balls, and I'm sort of batting on this like AstroTurf wicket on the edge of a Sheffield cricket club. Mid-Ashes. Yeah. There's like kids in the next net.
He looks at me and goes, Brody, I'm thinking of ramping first ball. And in my heart, deep in my soul, I was going, no, Joe, don't do that. Don't do that. Fresh from England duty, how are you, Jose?
I'm good, thanks, mate.
I've got no idea why I call you Jose. I've done it for 13 years.
I think it first started England Lions Tour football manager, creating that alias, and I called myself Jose Buttler. Spanish manager, Madrid-born, spoke many languages, aggressive pressing style. And on that tour, you know, people started calling me Jose because we were talking about football manager so much. And I think it's stuck from then on.
In this episode, we're going to talk all things England. I was in the change room for 17 years. You're still there, Jose. We'll talk Rooty, Stokesy, Baz McCullum, the new kids on the block, and also maybe an awkward Frank Lampard story.
Don't make me tell the Frank Lampard story.
It's a long time ago now, but can you remember joining up with England for the first time?
Yeah, I do. You were captain, and my debut was against India.
So I picked you.
You did, yes. I've got a lot to thank you for. You picked me for this as well, so that's nice of you. But yeah, so Manchester, India, T20. The Lowry Hotel, which still probably remains one of my favourite hotels. Huge team bus outside. Man United were playing Arsenal that day, so a bit in awe of Man U staying at the same hotel.
Were you in reception?
No, I remember just watching them come down in the lift, headphones on, straight onto the bus. But yeah, just that sort of it's so special when you first get picked for England, and it just feels so different arriving at that kind of hotel. The fact, oh man, you're in the same place, England cricket team, playing against India as well, knowing the fanfare that they travel with, and yeah, just a bit of an out of body experience. It's like I'm here, I've been picked, but I shouldn't be here. And I remember getting into the changing room and looking around, and there was sort of KP, Jimmy, Swanee, yourself, and just sort of like, how am I here? And I actually remember Stephen Finn really taking me under his wing, and still great mates with Finny now, and that, sort of him and Morgs at that stage sort of could see a bit of rabbit in the headlights, and just really looked after me. So that was my sort of first introduction. And actually, I'll never forget, I know we've both, I think, got some golf stories, but I think you, probably being captain, new kid into the team, said, let's go and play golf. And we went to the Mere in Manchester, and you had a big white Jaguar, I remember, picked me and Keyswetter up at the front of the hotel, driving there. I'm sat in the back of this Jag, like nervous as anything, and I was so bad. I remember on the third hole, you and Keysy had gone like a bit further.
It was a proper golfer, by the
way. It was
a
proper golf first. Scratch golf, probably tried to turn pro at one point, didn't he, as well? So you two have like gone up, and I'm like, I'm shaking, I'm so nervous to play with you. And I turned around on the third hole at Mere and like dropped a few balls out of my bag and started hitting them back down the fairway the wrong way to just to like try and like shake my nerves. So that's sort of my first way. And what about you? When was your first game?
I definitely had the same nerves. I was picked in 2006, first game at Bristol. T20 into a one-day series, and the 05 Ashes was like, I just loved watching all of that. So then to walk into a change room with Strauss, Trescothick, I think Jimmy Hansen, that Harmison was there, and my first memory, I like you talk about the hotel, I pulled into the car park. I had a Vauxhall Corsa, playing for Leicestershire at the time, still really young. And there were like Jags and Mercs. It was all quite like slick. So I pulled in with my little two-seater Vauxhall Corsa, went into this team meeting and was petrified. You know that if Duncan Fletcher had asked me to say anything, nothing would have come out. And I just saw Trescothick speak, and Harmison stood up, and Goffey. And Goffey just took me under his wing. He was a bit of a hero of mine. He's the reason I wear the number 8 shirt, because he did. And I'll never forget, on my debut game, there's a howling wind at Bristol, and always tough bowling into the wind, particularly as a young bowler. And Goffey came up to me and goes, you take the wind, I'll bowl into it because I want you to settle in. I was just like, this bloke's an absolute legend. Like, it's so nice when you meet people.
Did you take the new ball with him?
I took the new ball with him, and picked up a couple. I was actually on a hat trick. on my debut,
Nice
got
start.
Eunice Khan down the leg side, and then Shida Freedy tried to hit me out the ground on a hat-trick ball. Like, swung so hard, and it went in the air. I was like, catch, catch, catch. Landed just over mid-off, and so I didn't get a hat-trick. And then, like, a couple of balls later, he hit me out of Bristol, like miles and miles. So I think everyone who's walked into a changing room would feel that sort of same anxiety, same sort of bumping into heroes. And did you wear the same cap? It's a bit of an Australian thing, but did you wear the same cap for every single test?
So I got given a cap. They put your number on it as well, don't they? But the one they put my number on didn't fit. So Phil Neal, the team manager, had one of those flexi ones, like a bit of a spare. So that obviously fit perfect. And I never changed from that cap, even though then in time they got me one with my number that was the right size and fitted. But I always wore that same cap,
Because you get one at your test debut, then you get 25, 50, 75, 100.
Yeah, and I think Stokesy changed it. He'd wear the one to up to 25 and then put that one away, 25 to 50. You have to verify that with him, but I think that's what did you do?
I was the same.
But you went for the big floppy as well.
Yeah, I was the same cap all the way through at the start of my career, and then I wore a floppy hat on a really hot day, and I think South Africa bowled really well, and I thought, that's a bit of me, that. And
so are you superstitious like that then? Was there things that like you did that not superstitious, but just a routine or a rhythm or made you feel good?
I don't like that word superstitious. Like definitely routine, but yeah, if something worked for me, I'd definitely use it. So
the headband.
Headband was COVID, so we weren't allowed to sweat on the ball or use our sweat on the ball to shine it. So we were asked to wear Alice bands or headbands to say so the sweat didn't go onto our forehead. And I chose a headband like Karate Kid, and ran in, bowled really nicely. So I went to play for Nottinghamshire at Middlesex at Lords, and I thought, do you know what? It's time to get rid of the headband. COVID's gone. Just play normal cricket again. And I bowled first day, bowled so badly. I called my mum at the end of the day, who was back in Nottingham where my place was. I said, Mum, can you go around to my house, get my headbands and come down to London?
So she drove all the way down with
30 plus. She got in the car, drove down to London that night, gave me the headbands, stayed and watched the cricket, and I wore the headbands all the way then through the rest of my career because I bowled better that next day. And sport is just a weird mindset for that. But yeah, there was another version of that in 2009, Ashes at the Oval. And just about to go out for a bit of a warm-up, about 10 minutes before the bell, I smelt my shirt that I'd worn for batting, and I was a bit like, ugh, it's not great. It's 5 tests in. I've obviously been washing it, but it didn't smell great. And there was an aftershave on my bench, Paco Rabanne. So I grabbed it, sprayed 3 sprays, went out and bowled, and I got 5 for 30-something, 5 for 37, I think it was, in that spell. Sort of that moment that I felt like I belonged in international cricket. And from that day, 2009, all the way through till July 2023 when I retired, I sprayed 3 sprays of aftershave every single start of play, lunch, tea, which is ridiculous. But it just made me feel like happy and comfortable, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Just gave
takes you back to that moment, or it's a link to it.
Yeah, and also
just a comfort, isn't it?
I think in professional sport, you're always having something to... Blame's the wrong word. Bowlers bowl a bad ball and they kick the footholes. Oh, it's the footholes' fault. It can't have been mine. If I ran out of wickets or I was out of form, I changed the spray because I thought, the spray's run out of wickets. So I change it and it gives me like a bit of a boost. Yeah. Finding it sounds like a really poor excuse for bowling badly, but I'd find reasons to change what wasn't working for me into what was working for me. So I've now taught myself into thinking I was quite superstitious, I think.
Yeah.
Probably.
I think we all are, really. I think in cricket, I think there's a lot of people who, and like you say earlier, you might not call it superstitious, but you have a routine or something that makes you feel at ease. Or
because you used to write, I used to look over to you when you're waiting to bat and you'd be like just scribbling in a little notebook.
Yeah, that's kind of gone, thankfully. But I did like to take notes. I did actually, and I'd actually write down generally a few words or something that would sort of link to a mindset I wanted to play with. So clear, calm and confident would be a lot of the time. And just the actual physical thing of writing them down. And again, probably linking it to a performance. So I think it's actually the first time I ever got an ODI 100 was at Lords against Sri Lanka. And I wrote clear, calm, confident, and then went out and scored 100. So for ages it was I'd write clear, calm, confident, and obviously that ran out at a certain point. And I actually, just going to the recent IPL, obviously the Champions Trophy was a big disappointment, and stepping down from captaincy, and you sort of feel a bit low on confidence. And I actually, because I kept a lot of those books, so I actually packed them in my suitcase and arrived at the IPL sort of, it's a new place, a new team I'm playing for. I'm no longer England captain, and it's, I want to get back to my best and kick on. So I'm going to spend a bit of time just in my room when I get there, just reading back through old things. I found it amazing at how similar themed it always was, about the words that I wrote down, or and at certain points I wrote sort of like what I'd call like a mind stew of like, if I had a good performance, write down the things I was thinking or feeling. And it's exactly the same over the last 5-10 years of the worries I had that I might write down, or the things that I did well and it actually made me just feel like really comfortable. I've been feeling these things throughout my whole career, like whether it's like you say, there's always a little battle of some description going, always. Whether you first come into the team and you're trying to make your way, then you start to do quite well. It's, can you keep doing it? And then, I know, more responsibility, you come or then there's pressure from outside, selection, or your own form. And there's always something happening. And it's just the cycle of, but it was really sort of interesting. I was just like, it's exactly the same. No matter what sort of phase I was at, I'm always writing there's similar things. And the same with the story with writing fuck it on the top of my bat. That was came from a piece. No nonsense, pretty straight to the point. But it came from a session I did with Mark Borden, who was the sports psych with the team for when I first came into the side. And I sort of sat down with him, and he says, talk to me, what's on your mind? And I said, I just feel like I don't really belong. I haven't sort of shown the best of me yet. And so he sort of, okay, well, what do you sort of do when you feel like you're at your best, and et cetera, et cetera. And we talked about a few things about perception, or this, that, that. And I said, I remember it clearly, just saying, I kind of just go out there and just think, fuck it, and get on. And he said, that's it. That is exactly, whatever that means to you, just
let go of the baggage.
Sort of, and more about being committed. It's like, if I was half-hearted on something, I'd be like, fuck it, just either go for it or the other way, or anything. And the same when I got out, it was like, oh fuck it, like it's
a little bit like
so, and then wrote on it my bat from ever then. So that was my sort of way to sort of be sort of really committed to something, and then not to carry the baggage of it and stuff. And like, you think about like committed cricketers, obviously Stokesy coming in as Test captain when you came back into the side of things.
Yeah, like as committed as you get, isn't he? He was quite clear on his game plan, and I learned that day one of the training session when he came in as captain. I'd been dropped from the West Indies team, the touring party, so I'd come back in for this Test match at Lords when Stokesy got named captain. So there's a bit of nervousness in my stomach. I'm obviously 35 plus, played a lot of Test matches, but you want to impress. McCullum's come in as coach. So first net session, so I looked at the rotor, and it's Matthew Potts and I bowling against Stokesy. So I'm thinking, charge in, show the new bowler what England training's like, but also bowling at the captain, trying to get in the team. And I'm just doing some looseners. And Stokesy pulled me aside. Great mate, Stokesy. I've obviously played with him loads. And he goes, Brody, just want to let you know, I'm going to try and hit every single ball you bowl for 4 or 6. I'm like, really? Why? Right, my stomach like drops, and he's like, I want my teammates, the guys I'm going to lead this week, to look at me and show that I'm playing fearlessly in training, I'm testing my limits. But in my brain, I'm thinking, I've got all my teammates now just going to see me just get thumped and whacked everywhere. It's a little bit embarrassing, but I charged in. I did exactly what he sort of asked. Fortunately, I had the experience to know, stick to my run up, stick to my feeling, deliver the ball where I'm practicing, where I'm going to bowl at Tom Latham on Thursday, and let Stokesy do his thing the other end. And I was running in bowling, really nice length, like left-hander, top of off, and he was charging and whacking them like out the ground, like past me, backing away, carving it through point. And I just had to keep that mindset of ignore Stokesy, do what I do. But he walked out, he must have been like 150 not out, honestly, in half an hour. And we just like touched gloves. He winked at me, and that was him showing his team, this is how I'm going to operate. I'm going to push myself to the absolute limit in training. Doesn't mean I'm going to do that in the game every single time, but this is how I want us all to go about our business. And it sort of coincided. Baz and Stokesy are sort of the same people. I remember Johnny Bairstow hadn't scored any runs in the test match at Lords, got maybe 10 and 15. And normally a coach would be like, oh, well played, Jos, you got 100, everyone give him a clap, brilliant. Joe Root, another 100, well done.
Or in like the wrap-up.
In the wrap-up. But Baz went, just want to say, Johnny Bairstow, the way you played was exactly how I want my group to play. You came in, you put the pressure on the bowler, you drove him down the ground, he dropped short, you pulled him for 6. That was like exactly the mindset I want. I just saw Johnny literally like grow in his seat as a person. He just stood up like, that like so much more confidence from that sort of chat. And he just had an amazing, I almost class Baz not as a cricket coach. I never really see him throw balls. He's just a bit of a man-managing psychologist in a sense.
But I notice in this test team especially, sort of inexperienced players taking incredible leading roles and sort of really hit the ground running.
It's the small convos. It's not doing big meetings. I think you put anyone or any sports person in a big classroom up front and get them to stand up in front of 30 people that they don't know is quite intimidating. And Baz doesn't do those sort of meetings. It's talk about us going to the golf course. I always think that's such a nice way to get to know someone who's come into the squad. Go try and get in their 4-ball day before a game. Obviously talk golf, everything, football, whatever, but have those times where you go, how do you like tomorrow? How do you want to be talked to? How do you see it? Are you a bit nervous? Are you fine? And the guys in that change room, I mean, Rooty, it's just Joe Root is just a great guy, isn't he? He's just such a wonderful bloke to have around. And you've played probably the most amount of cricket with him out of anyone. You started in the young age groups, didn't you? He's like, what makes him so good?
Yeah, I think so many things, obviously. His talent, the temperament. He's a proper team man, isn't he? And I'm sure he's aware of the records and the sort of the company he keeps in the sort of the runs he's scored. But it's always, for England, I remember talking to him at one point and he's sort of like, I just don't know what I'll do when I can't stop scoring runs for England. I just love scoring runs for the team, and it's always for the team. And he loves to help you. I think I played in the 2015 Ashes, had a pretty tough series, and I think it was after the first 2 games. So Mitchell Johnson was playing, Mitchell Stark, so 2 left armers, and I remember Rooty just messaging me. We had a week off in between. Messaged me saying, "Mate, drive over to Sheffield," because I was living in Manchester at the time, "and we'll have a net." Sheffield Collegiate Cricket Club is just down the road from where he lives. He's turned up with his own dog stick. He had those like yellow balls. Remember
they
quite
sort of give you a
quite
bit
fast
of a whip,
and
don't
a bit, So he's like, "Look, we'll do some, and I'm sort of batting on this like AstroTurf wicket on the edge of a Sheffield Cricket Club, mid-Ashes. Yeah. There's like kids in the next net just sort of like messing around, people playing on the outfield. And there's like me with the best batter in the world, just him trying to help me with my own game to try and, next week do better in the Ashes. And I know he became the number 1 batter in the world in that series. But just, that love of cricket that he has and love of helping his teammates, even at that stage, that's 10 years ago now, and he's exactly the same now. I just remember sort of being really indebted to that. And I don't think I went on and scored any runs, but just the sort of mindset and of like, it doesn't matter where you are, just because you're a professional cricketer, it doesn't have to be perfect facilities or this, that. He would bat wherever. I know in Chennai years, there was a cyclone or something, wasn't it? But he was batting on the road with ramps because it was the only place he could get a bat. And I think also, like you said, being captain and then going back into the team, the way he's bought into everything that Baz and Stokesy have brought to that side, the way that, he's reverse ramping guys over the slips. There's no need for Joe Root to do that, but he's entertaining and he's putting, really buying into put pressure on the opposition in different ways.
Where Stokesy hit me in the net, young players seeing Rooty do a reverse ramp for 6, they go, God, if he's got the freedom to be able to do that, I can follow him. I was, if you remember the first ball of day 3 of the Ashes in Edgbaston 2023, he played a ramp to Pat Cummins that missed his stumps by like an inch. So I sat next to Rooty in the change room at Birmingham, and about 20 minutes before 11 o'clock, he's getting his pads on, and I'm just sat there having come in from warm-up, minding my own business. I was very much someone who didn't talk to the batters, didn't want to annoy them or badger them while they're getting ready. So I just sat there quietly. He's doing his thing. He looks at me and goes, "Brody, I'm thinking of ramping first ball." And in my heart, deep in my soul, I was going, "No, Joe, don't do that. Don't do that. Ash's like first test on the line here. You know, you are our hope." But knowing the culture of what Stokesy and Brendan McCullum were doing, it was all about, if you think it, you do it, positive route. And it took every bit of my, what's the right word, like clarity of thought to go, "Well, if you thought it, Joe, you got to do it." So he was like, "Okay, cool, I'm going to do it." Like we touched gloves type thing. And Pat Cummins running into bowl that morning, Joe Root and me were the only people that knew he was going to ramp the ball. And my heart was going like crazy, you know. I said, "Please hit it, please hit it." And he missed it, and it missed the stump. So there's that great footage of like Phil Tuffin almost like falling off his chair on TMS. And fortunately, it's amazing how cricket then works, because everyone's like, "What are you doing? It's such a big game." And within half an hour of Joe playing like that, the field was spread so far, he was just knocking it around and doing his thing. So the positive mindset of doing it, not going, "Well, you could get out, so don't do it," of going, "Yeah, go for it, because you'll free the game up," actually worked. I know we didn't win the game in the end, but we should have done. But that was pretty awesome for me to witness, and also know that I was the only person that knew what was coming. So Jacob Bethel burst onto the scene, so to speak, hasn't he? Test match, played a few test matches, doing nicely in the white ball stuff, played in the IPL for RCB. How good is he? Because in England we love building people up, don't we? But is he as good as you've seen as a young kid?
I think he's got the potential to be, absolutely, yeah. I think I always, in my time as captain, you know, you're sort of involved in sort of selection chats and also the depth sort of chats. And his name was always one that was mentioned. This guy, Bethel, was, you know, he'd been playing for England under 19s. And, you know, maybe the numbers weren't there as they were with some other players, but it was like that talent. And I remember Rob Key being like, you know, you should be able to watch a clip of someone play. And this won't always be the case, but within sort of 6 clips or 30 seconds, be like, he's a player. And I think Jacob Bethel was exactly that. You know, you sort of watch him in the nets the first time and you're sort of drawn to, you know, how will this net go? Like you say, you're facing better bowlers than you've been facing before, etc., playing against better players. Just looked at ease, looked comfortable, played a couple of really eye-catching shots. And that is, whatever it is, you're like, he's got it.
Yeah.
And I think also a great head on his shot. You talked about note-taking, very diligent in his preparation. Sort of, you can see him in the corner, something, you know, writing a few things down, very precise about what he's doing. And yeah, I think also what a great time to come into the team with those guys at the top, and like Joe Root in the team to learn off and be a sponge around. So yeah, I think he could go on and be a really, really special player.
I often think that's such a good thing to say, like what a time to come in, because sport a lot of the time is about timing and when you play and who you play with, the responsibilities you have. And, you know, being a young cricketer in England coming in to play under, you know, Baz and Stokesy in the test match stuff and the white ball stuff and the messages that Baz is saying, with the exciting things coming forward, you know, World Cups, T20 World Cups, ODI World Cup in South Africa. It's I haven't missed playing, but the thought of being 20 now, breaking through and learning my trade off these guys in the leadership roles would be outstanding. Would be really cool. I remember the same thing with Harry Brook. People sometimes think that players just get picked and they get given an England cap and away you go. But Harry Brook in 2022 trained with us before every single test match in the summer. So I bowled at him 2 days out from every test match. I just remember bowling at him thinking, this bloke's a proper player. You know, straight, hits it hard through mid-wicket, solid defence, would leave calmly, not much movement. And he eventually played in the last Test match of the summer. So there's management in it as well, isn't it? They don't just lob players in and go, "Oh, I hope you do all right." They guide them into
people. And I remember seeing Ruti do an interview. Actually, I think NASA asked him about like who's coming out, and they were talking about someone. He said the one we're not talking about enough is Harry Brook. You got to watch out for this guy. And he's got a real cricket intelligence, and I think as captain of the white ball stuff, him and Baz are going to really fly and take that side forward at a rate of knots. Yeah.
I think what people really want to know, the team bus. Captain, do you have a special seat and then do you move?
No, I think I'm moving gradually further forward.
You'll be driving it.
Yeah, probably will be next week. Cool kids at the back. I put Ben Duckett back there, Cars, Brooke would be back there.
So Brookie skipper's gone,
yeah,
is he back row?
Well, I think he was back there to start with, and he's just stayed there. I don't think that kind of thing phases him or bothers him that he's now captain. He's just in with those boys. And yeah, I think it's just very similar to like your sort of school classroom. The different personalities will gravitate towards different areas, and it's sort of always coaches for
So you wouldn't sit at the front as captain?
No, I wanted to try and be in and around. I remember Owen Morgan telling me a bit of advice, which was just listen. So he said he got that he said, Straussy, how do you always sort of know the right thing to say? You always sort of pitch your team talks just right. And he said, well, like on stuff like the team bus, I just sort of listen in and around the bus, in and around the dressing room. And you kind of listen and you pick up the body language of the boys and see, what sort of stuff they're talking about, if they're overexcited or if they're a bit nervous and feel like you need to. And so that was something I sort of thought, I'll try and, take on. So I sort of tried to pitch myself in the middle of the bus so I could sort of, it's the same as school, isn't it? There's always the cool kids at the back who are doing something, and then a few guys who like their own time, headphones on somewhere else. So you sort of just, and that's what I found myself trying to do, just sort of listen, get the feeling of the boys, what the vibe is, and sort of then, try and sort of work out what you needed to do on the day. Did you need to try and pick people up? Did you need to try and calm people down?
But cricket captaincy, I don't know if it works in other sports. Certainly wouldn't in football. You're generally, as a captain, the one who tells the guys if they're dropped or not playing, going around before the toss or the day before going, look, unfortunately, mate, we're going a different route. I can't imagine a football captain doing that. No,
and like you say, the manager takes on so much more, doesn't he? But it's actually one thing Baz did for me when he came in. When I took on the captaincy, now I know Morgs did that stuff. He wanted to deliver that message to the player who was missing out or being, given bad news. So he wanted that to come from him, very direct. And then he'd ask the coach to follow up with sort of a why and how to get back in the side or what things to work on. And so because I'd played under Morgs for so long, I sort of took that on. I was like, that's how it's meant to be done. I didn't want people to feel like I was jibbing it or not doing it. So I probably found that more difficult than it needed to be, and probably took up a bit too much of my energy. And actually, it's one thing when Baz came, he was like, I'll take so much off your plate. Like, I'll tell the boys, the team, I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this. I just want you to captain on the field and we'll do the rest of it together, or I'll do it. And he's very clever at, getting cricket conversations going very naturally. He's very keen for people to spend time together organically, and he believes that the more people are around each other, the more you enjoy each other's company and build those relationships, that will strengthen your resolve on the field. That when the pressure comes on in the heat of the moment, you understand your teammates better. You've got a real tight camaraderie and you're in it together. So without realising, I believe you're having meetings, lots of different meetings. He'll get a lot of chairs and put them around the end of the net. So naturally people, where do I go? I've just finished batting or bowling. I'll just sit here. And, without realising there's 4 or 5 guys sat around watching you bowl, or probably like that time watching Stokesy bat. And they go, Jesus Christ, how good's this? And he just naturally starts those organic conversations. So, without realising, you're having hundreds and hundreds of brilliant meetings, which he makes you feel like a great mate having a chat, and someone who really cares about you and is ultra positive. The language, and he's a real glass half full kind of guy, isn't he? So
one thing I noticed about him, that after each test match, win, lose, draw, whatever, he wouldn't just do the sum up with Stokesy. He'd go around the group. You know what it's like in sports change rooms? Sometimes the younger guys feel a bit nervous to speak and the older guys maybe speak too much or whatever. he would just go, Ollie, Popey, what do you think, Ollie Pope? How do you think the week's gone? And then Popey would give his thoughts, and then he'd go, Ben Folkes, what do you think the week's meant to you? And it became so natural for guys to speak in the change room. And it wouldn't be just, I thought it was a really good week. Guys would speak about what that week meant to them. They'd be, my family were able to come this week. It was so great to see them in the evenings, and then to take that catch in front of them. It became so, you're right. He didn't do sort of Churchillian speeches in front of everyone where everyone would walk out the change room going, come on! It was just little convos with everyone that got everyone talking together. Although there was one at Trent Bridge when he took over second test match. I don't know if you remember the test match where Johnny Bairstow went berserk, got 100. We chased like 280 on the final day. And we got to tea, and we were about 120 for 4 Bairstow and Stokes at the crease, and Ben Folkes in next at number 7. And Folkesy, it was a 20-minute tea break. Folkesy just went to Baz. Baz, if we lose another wicket, are we blocking for the draw? Do we, shut it down and try and get out the game? And Baz, there's a split change room at Trent Bridge, so you go up some stairs, so everyone's in slightly different rooms. And Baz just went, guys, everyone just come to me quickly. Everyone come into the room. So everyone came in. He goes, I just want to say I don't really believe in draws, so the draw is not on my mindset at all. We're going to win this game. We're going down to Jimmy Anderson at number 11. Jimmy, if you get in, try and hit every ball for 4. We're going for the win. I don't want to draw. I prefer to lose going for the win and have that mindset that we're looking to win the whole time. So just go out, play with freedom, take the bowlers on, and we'll get this total. Just play, just enjoy it. And everyone, you could see, sort of grew a little bit. And the first ball after tea, Matt Henry bounced Johnny Bairstow, and Johnny ducked it. And Stokesy sort of walked down to him and went, what are you doing? Johnny was like, I was just having a look. And Stokes went, well, you've had your look now. Hit him for 6. And then Johnny's mindset just flipped. It was like the captain gave him the freedom to just go. And Johnny just next ball down, out the ground. So it was like a freedom of, I almost call them like rogue heroes. That SAS programme on BBC, the Paddy Mayne or whatever, who created the SAS, just that freedom of thought and the positivity that they'll get the job done in any scenario. Yeah.
And so, but with that, there's almost like a misconception sometimes that the result doesn't matter, isn't it? Whereas but it's actually connecting to this way of playing or belief gives you the best chance of winning. And it doesn't mean you don't care about the result, but it's like this way of thinking, this process, not worrying about, are we going to win or lose? And, even just saying that, you can feel yourself tighten up. He's almost trying to allow you to just be real free and loose and get the very best out of yourself. And I think that's why I look back at times of leadership. I look at people, it's like the great leaders and captains or whatever it be, sport, and they get the best out of what they've got. They get people performing to their potential. And I think that's what Baz and obviously Stokesy really saw, is so much potential, so much upside in all these players, and it's trying to unleash that and let that come out, and people then start to realise, oh God, how good I am, and we're winning playing this way. And it's and entertaining people, as you spoke about, all the really important things that are part of winning as well. Full stands, full stadium. We're great. We're so lucky in England to get such great support, and you want them, like you say, coming in, loving what they've seen, and they go home, can't stop talking about what a great day they've had at the cricket.
Laithwaites are proud partners of For the Love of Cricket.
Official wine partners, yeah?
That's the one. They love cricket, so do we, so they're on board.
Have you still got your wine collection with Laithwaites?
Funny you should say that, actually, Jose. Beyond the Wicket, a series of wines by Stuart Broad with a lovely little signature underneath. But yeah, my love of wine grew throughout my cricket career, Australia, New Zealand. Maybe we should have the old podcast where we open a glass. What are you, rosé, white, red?
I'd say white, but I do enjoy a glass of red, cold, roast dinner, fire on, that kind of vibe.
I've had a bit of an idea. We're going to do special episodes with Laithwaites, purely based on questions from the listeners. And through that, we'll create our own little case of wine, For the Love of Cricket case, available exclusively at laithwaites.co.uk.
Sounds great. I'll tell you what we'll do. 3 reds for you, for the Test cricket fans, and 3 whites for me, for the white ball purists.
So pour yourself a glass, settle in, and join us for the love of cricket with a good bottle of wine from Laithwaites.
Ever share a room with anyone? England tutors?
Don't think so. I think, the England Lions, the A group, the team below the main team, you share. So I toured Bangladesh when I was 18. I think I shared with, they just put the bowlers together. But as soon as I got into the England team, no sharing. And county cricket, I never share. And I always get really surprised when I hear England rugby team or like the British Lions sharing rooms. You have big 130 kg blokes sharing like a room with twin beds. Especially
if you had to share with someone, who would you want to choose from your playing days?
Not Jimmy, because he's just so messy.
Why so messy? Like changing room the same?
How I would explain it, it'd be this sort of guy who would, when he walks in his hotel room, t-shirt comes off on the floor, trousers off the floor, shoes get kicked on the floor, and the next morning he wakes up to get in different clothing. He just adds the clothing at the other end. So there's a trail of his clothing from last night that side, and new clothing comes out the other side. So quite messy. Always, I need an overshirt, I need a jumper. His whole suitcase would be like getting lobbed like a cartoon, like whoosh, 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 and then the jumper would come. So I think it's and his kit in the change room. Don't even get me started. That he'd put laundry in from Test match number 1 at the bottom of his bag, and Test match number 3 he'd find it. Go, oh yeah, that's the laundry. Bang, get that done. And his change room spot was, boots, batting kit. Him and Stokes used to sit next to each other at Lord's, and it was just, you couldn't even walk past that segment, that back bench. Yeah. It was just chaos, kit everywhere. Whereas Rooty was the far side, furthest away from them, because he numbers all his gloves nice, doesn't he, and lines them up perfectly.
Lines his boots up. Like perfect.
So, when I've done 12 man, Stokesy will call, I need a pair of gloves. You just can't find anything anywhere, whereas Rooty does it. And he'd be like, I need a pair of gloves. I want number 14. It's like, bang, there you go. Out you go. Come on then. One of the perks of being England captain, you get a suite wherever you go. What's the best suite you'd have had?
Definitely the Lowry. I said it's my favourite hotel, and I think the suite, I'd quite happily move in there and live there. So
like Mourinho.
Like Mourinho. No wonder he didn't leave. Into your room. On the left is like a walk-in. Say I've walked into the bedroom first. There are 2 doors because it's that big.
2 doors into your room.
So that far end is like hotel. It's like room, whatever, 110 or whatever.
Yeah.
And then so that's my door. But there's another door for 110 that end. So let's go in that end.
So you get 2 keys?
No, same key. So, but you're into that. Say I'm into the far room. So I'm sort of in your living. On your right is like a mini kitchen. No oven, but microwave and fridge and fully stocked mini bar kind of vibe. But yeah, that is by far the best suite.
I wish I was a better captain now. Most of my career, the mini bars were cleared out, so you couldn't just munch on M&Ms or whatever. What was same now? I
think, different hotels seem to be different, I reckon. But they always have that thing, don't they? Ring down. Ring 8 if you want us to come and stock up.
So in that period when all the mini bars were empty, you were calling down,
just
come restock
and
it
up, and then. I think the most sort of mini bar intake sort of dependent on how well the day of cricket went.
Yeah, if you get no runs, the mini bar's getting it.
I was sort of, not the alcohol, but more. It's very sweet tooth, chocolate, crisps. Just sat there feeling sorry for myself, but. You can do that in the Lowry.
The Lowry, you came into breakfast one day like you'd seen a ghost, like proper shell-shocked.
Pretty shell-shocked. Lifts are like awkward places at the best of times, aren't they? And bit of a football fan, bit of a fake Man City fan as well at the time. Sort of.
Because they were winning the league?
Yeah, I sort of. As I moved to play for Lancashire, it sort of coincided with Sheikh Mansour, and I thought I'd better pick, red or blue, and so.
You've definitely supported team. Like Barcelona at some stage.
I'm back with Barcelona now. Yeah,
back with Barca.
Yeah, me and Lamine Yamal he's going to be a hero of mine. But yeah, back to the Lowry. I think it's a test match, and I've sort of a bit tired. Get into the lift. I'm sort of looking at my phone a little bit. Doors open. Go to step out. Think I'm at the breakfast level. Literally bump into someone. I'm like, oh, sorry, mate. Let's get back in. And it's Frank Lampard, and I'm sort of like, oh my God, this is Frank Lampard. Like, this is brilliant. Doors closed. He's just on his phone, sort of. I think he had a pair of boots under his arm. And so I've got to say something. Like, and so I was like, you're off to training. And he just literally looked up at me and goes, yeah, mate, I train every day. I was like, oh, I don't really know where to go from this. So he's in that mood. Just then the doors open, and as I've walked out, I have no idea why. It's just come out, and I've just gone, "Kick 'em well, mate." And then exactly that, walked into breakfast, and I got a plate of food, and I've sort of sat there, and this is probably when you've looked over, and I was just staring into my plate, devastated that my one interaction with Frank Lampard is me saying "kick 'em well, mate."
Well at training, kick 'em well, mate.
Yeah,
because I can just picture how
awkward it was,
horrified you were, and I can just imagine you saying it.
Yeah,
he's there just carrying his boots. We wish we could do that as cricket. We tour with 80 kgs worth of kit, don't we? I used to take 10 pairs of boots away with me on tour. What would you have in your kit bag?
Yeah, so being a keeper as well, so I'd have 2 sets of pads, batting pads, keeping pads. I'd probably carry somewhere between 2 and 3 sets of keeping gloves, about 6 to 8 pairs of batting gloves, box. I also carry backup box just in case
you get
hit. Thigh pads, and I tend to travel with about 6 bats. So I try and have sort of 3 that I think are sort of my match bats, and if one broke, that's sort of next one in. And then I'd have 3 that I sort of use just in the nets, so I can, I always used to just use one bat, no matter, it was my bat. I'd use it in a match, I'd use it in the nets, everything, and then obviously people tell you at one point that's going to break and you're going to be devastated. So got a couple of net bats, 2 helmets, so I'd have a batting helmet and a wicket keeping helmet. So yeah, a lot of kit. But 10 boots, 10 that sounds a lot. Is that covering what, a 5 test series, or is that not even that many?
Yeah, 4 or 5 test match series. I mean, Jimmy Anderson used to like a new pair of boots every single game. I was a bit different. I'd use mine for 2 or 3 test matches. If I didn't get wickets in the first test, I might change them. And
are you rotating them session by session?
Rotate session by session, because test matches, you're travelling on average 18k a day as a fast bowler, and 10 times your body weight every time you slam through your foot every ball. So if you're bowling 17, 18 overs a day, it adds up. So I would try and change them, keep them fresh. So do the morning session in a pair of boots, afternoon session,
but what happens to them when they get a bit?
They just compress slightly, the soles, so you give them time to sort of the sole to decompress and expand to bring the cushioning back. But also, you feel like you should just be able to get bowling boots anywhere, but it's not as simple as that. Sometimes when you're on tour, getting exactly the right size or getting them into the country, they might get lost at customs. So I like to have a bit of a safety blanket for boots. Just lob them at the bottom of the bag, and away you go. It made the bag a bit heavy. But I would be different to you. I'd only have 1 helmet, obviously, and I'd only take 3 bats, probably, because I wouldn't be...
Anything in your bag that no one would expect you to have it, apart from your Paco Rabanne spray?
Well, I was the tools man, wasn't I? I always had the the screwdriver or the ratchet for the spikes, or the grit putter on her. So I liked having a little goodie bag, a shoe bag of anything. I sort of took a bit of pride in it that people would come up to me going, you got this in that bag? And I'd dig into it.
Shop in the corner.
Spare spikes? Yeah, I've got spikes. Bat tape? Yeah, I've got that.
Long spikes as well?
Long spikes for the whacker in Australia, Perth particularly, because it was, you'd slip a bit on that surface, so I'd change them there. But yeah, I had this bag that I'd never take anything out of for 15 years, but always add. So there's just all sorts of nonsense in there, But yeah, nothing too unexpected, I don't think. I'm not like, Jimmy would have books of crosswords and stuff, wouldn't he? Because if we were batting, he'd just sit there and do crosswords. But no, I was the guy that people came to for spikes, for sure. This is our debut episode. We're on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok.
Right, it's day 1, 0 followers. We need all the help we can get. So leave us a nice comment, like and subscribe.
Are you someone that will read the comments?
The negative ones about my batting, probably not, but everything for the love of cricket, absolutely. Engage with us, tell us all your cricket stories, get involved, and let's create a great community. So what happens next?
We're back next Tuesday for episode 2.
So what's next week about?
India. You'll tell us what it's like to play in the IPL. You had the best seat in the house when a 14-year-old smashed an IPL 100, and we'll talk about their best players and players to look out for against England this summer.
Have we got any followers yet?
Let me check. No. We've only been going 5 minutes. The Instagram, TikTok, all of them are up and running. Love of Cricket Pod.
And you can watch us on Spotify.